Hello everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Star Watch, which is a weekly astrological transit report. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really quick before we dive into these charts though, my cat is climbing on me like a tree. Okay, really quick before we get into these charts, I just wanted to let you know that the July monthly tarot card readings will be posted within the next 1 to 2 days, just kind of finishing those up. And I have a new kind of website that I'm launching in August. So not for the July readings, but for the August readings, I'm going to be offering subscriptions. She's going crazy. So it's going to be a subscription base. So prices will be exactly the same as what you're currently paying for the monthly comprehensive readings, but this will just make it easier so you don't have to go through that purchase process every single month. So you can subscribe either to like a single zodiac sign. So let's say you're a Gemini and you only want the Gemini video. You can subscribe just to that. So every month you'll automatically get access to that. Or you can purchase the full playlist subscription. So every month you'll get all 12 monthly comprehensive readings. And then I'm also going to be introducing, I wanted to kind of see your guys' interests, kind of a membership group. I know that that's kind of something that a lot of people have requested from me, like with a Patreon or something like that. So I thought I'd put the feelers out there to see if there would be any interest. I'm thinking, what I would call like my soul seekers group. So I would do more exclusive content for that group. And it would be, more in-depth astrological analysis, more in-depth tarot readings, and anything else that I kind of thought I would do like a question and answer type of situation. I would do, what I would call my Following Venus segment, which we would talk about love and money. And there's a few other ideas that I wanted to roll out for that particular group as well. So I just wanted to put the feelers out there, see if you guys would be interested. So let me know, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get into this chart now. So we obviously had a really big weekend this past weekend, right? Specifically in the United States, the Supreme Court, revoked the Roe v. Wade thing, and people are going crazy, and it's this whole big thing, okay? But I think we have to really understand what's like the bigger picture. That's what's really going on here. We have to understand that the United States specifically, and I'm sorry if you're watching from the UK or Australia or Canada or somewhere else, so this is more applicable for the US, but the United States is going through its Pluto return. Okay, now we've been talking about this and we've known about this for quite some time. Pluto came over that 27th degree, it did retrograde back to this 27th degree where it's sitting right now. And we also have this Cancerian influence of the sun. So we have this really, really powerful moment in time where in the past it really like snowballed and shaped the entire Western world as we know it today. And I'm not just talking about the United States, I'm talking about all of Western Europe and Canada and Australia as well, and the Western influence that, kind of with its little tendrils kind of spread out all across the world. And, this was a period of massive, massive, massive growth and revolution and change. It's not a process that we can expect to be easy. It's not a process that we can expect to be smooth, right? Not everyone is ready for the next chapter. Not everyone is ready for this growth period. A lot of people are going to stay stuck and they're going to want it to be they're going to be nostalgic and they're going to want it to be reminiscent of the past. And a lot of people are not going to be able to truly accept that the world as we know it is evolving so fast. And even though I'm not a super huge proponent of the messaging and the predictive programming of mainstream media, I would say that through the pandemic, right, they kept saying the new normal, the new normal, the new normal. And as much as I cringed with that, it's also very true. And I think that they were preparing us in a big way for massive reform and change. And the comfort zone that we found ourselves in is just simply no longer there. I think that they're continuing to pull the rug out from under us. And what we're left with is what I call hanging onto a fistful of water, right? It's just like you realize you thought you had some grip on something, you thought you had some security on something, and then you open your fist and there's really nothing there. So it's important for us to realize that there is something bigger, that it's not just about one issue, right? It's not just one political thing. It's not just another political thing. It's all of it inclusive, that the masses are getting incredibly restless and incredibly frustrated with the power and influence that currently exists. So the call for change, it's not, and this is the first time in history that this is more of a global movement, okay? Because we're all connected now with the internet. This is the first time in human history that we've had that. Like, I can talk to someone in Chile, I can talk to someone in South Africa, I can talk to someone in, UAE, I can talk to someone in China, and we can have that interconnectivity there. And so now we're kind of all like coming into this sort of same page place. And the Cancerian influence, like, look, guys, Cancer is not an easy zodiac archetype, right? I know that in modern astrology, we give Cancerians this sort of, oh, they're so sensitive, they're so weepy, they're so whatever. But the Cancerian archetype, we're talking about cardinal water. And if you look back in history, it is theorized that the age of Cancer, right? Like right now we're in the age of Pisces, making our way toward the age of Aquarius. So that the age of Cancer was like the time of the great flood of Noah, right? Where all this water just came and just wiped out everything and everyone on the earth. And so we know that there's a massive destruction that happens with Cancerian season, with Cancerian energy, cardinal water. It's just like this incredible force of like a massive baptism type of thing. Okay, so there is this sort of cleansing that is going on, and it is going to be disruptive, and it will continue to be disruptive over the next 4 to 5 years as Saturn makes its way through Pisces. I honestly think, like, guys, 2020 was, that was all Capricorn stuff, but at least with Capricorn, we can make sense of things to a degree. Things are tangible in an earth sign. Things are somewhat logical and rational. Now, you may not agree, but I'm sure it's easier to see things in Capricorn energy. Whereas with Pisces, it's just like all over the place. And so when Pluto moves into Aquarius and comes back and moves back into Aquarius again through 23 and 24, Saturn will be moving into Pisces, coming in contact with Neptune. They're going to be coming really, really close, moving into Aries, and then they're both going to be retrograding back into Pisces and then back into Aries again. So there's this like multiple hitting that 29th degree of Pisces with both Neptune and Saturn very, very close together. So, and that's happening in like 25 and 26. So there are so many things that are coming, and there's this huge wave of energy. And so we're just kind of like entering the lobby here. We're just kind of coming into the building, and we're just sort of getting our bearings here. So the world is changing. Now, I don't necessarily mean we're going to break out in this huge world war or anything, but I think it's important for us mentally to like really prepare for this upcoming astrological environment. Pluto through Aquarius is not going to be an easy transit either. It's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be incredibly innovative though, and we will see a massive upswing in technology, technological development, all sorts of exploration, all sorts of science, all sorts of financial reform, which we're kind of seeing right now with Uranus in Taurus. So we're kind of getting a preview. This is all just a big preview of stuff. All right. So it's okay to be upset, or it's okay to be frustrated, or to be excited. However you feel about the Roe v. Wade situation, it's okay to feel however you feel, but don't get so locked in thinking that you either won or you either lost, because it's not going to be so black and white as all that. That there are going to be ongoing issues, ongoing things that are going to continue to resurface over the next upcoming years that are going to be the basis and the foundation for how the quote-unquote new world is going to be formed. All right, so this is a big moment in time, and it started with all the Capricorn stuff, right? 2020 was a huge year, but it wasn't just only about 2020, right? There's like this massive period of time, or this era in which we have entered, that is pushing and forcing and kind of molding the world formation moving forward. So that's kind of where we are. And we had that big new moon in Cancer, which was a beautiful new moon, because obviously the moon is the ruler of Cancer. So she's kind of in her power here. And then now she's officially in waxing. So as she waxes, okay, as she comes into the latter degrees of Cancer, she's going to come into opposition with Pluto. As she moves into Leo, she's going to be coming into opposition with Saturn. And as she moves through Virgo, she'll come into opposition with Neptune. Now, remember a couple of weeks ago when the moon was over here, we just had that new moon in Sag. And then we are like making our way into, I'm sorry, did I say new moon? I meant full moon in Sag. Did I say that? I don't remember what I said. Full moon in Sag. And then she was coming through and she was connecting with Pluto, connecting with Saturn, connecting with Neptune. And I told you that this is a month or a week to really like allow things to close out, allow yourself to check things off the list. Well, as the moon comes into opposition with Pluto and Saturn and Neptune, there is going to be greater illumination on the things that need to be eliminated. This is a big period of elimination for us. Okay, it's a big period of elimination for us as individuals, in terms of our private life, in terms of our habits, and in terms of the things that just simply do not serve. And we're going to have many, many, many cycles of this, because obviously these planets move really, really slow. So this is not something that's going to go away overnight. This is going to be multiple years of stuff. But just keep in mind that every time the moon comes into these oppositions, that we are like going through this closure period. And it's in preparation for, and in terms of creating space for, that which is really coming. So it's important for us to organize our lives right now. It's important for us to get a handle on the things that serve us well, and to invest in those things, and to put energy and love and passion into those things, and to let the things that do not resonate anymore, to let those things go and to truly walk away. And I think that this Mars in Aries has done us a lot of favors in terms of initiating new things, initiating new energies, especially as the moon comes into the latter degrees of Cancer. She'll be in a square with Mars, and this will be happening tomorrow. Here we can see 24 degrees in the morning, Thursday morning, moon coming into this square with Mars. And this is going to be kind of the fire under our butt, maybe, that we really need to feel energized and to be able to also stir up the emotion, right, with being in the Neptunian decan, again, using modern astrology with that rulership. It's also the Jupiter decan in traditional astrology, Jupiter Neptune decan of Cancer plus the Cancerian rulership. So we have a lot of emotion coming through tomorrow. And that emotion is quite magical. We have to remember that emotion is magic. And sometimes when I look at these protests, and this is an opinion, I guess, but it's also kind of just like, we talk about this all the time in the spiritual realm. When we talk about law of attraction, we talk about manifestation. You know, if you are standing in the streets and writing things down and screaming at the top of your lungs, you have to understand that you're casting spells. So you want to be careful of what it is that you're saying and what it is that you're writing down and what it is that the message that you are perpetuating en masse, right? When you have thousands and thousands of people yelling and screaming these same things, you're actually kind of creating a spell against yourself a little bit. So it's so important to pay attention to how you are communicating and what it is that you're saying, and especially what it is that you're like emoting about, right? Because I'm not saying you can't feel something about what happened. Of course you can. And you can feel something about, you know, any movement that we've had over the past few years, because there's been a lot of stuff that's been coming out. And so you can feel what you need to feel, but also really think about the way the energy is being directed. Because you don't want to create greater restrictions for yourself. You don't want to create greater, less power, if you will. greater disempowerment or whatever. So be careful, because this is a powerful moment in time. As we've seen, it's a powerful moment in time. And this moon in a square with Mars can get really impulsive and compulsive even, and it can get very heated and volcanic and extreme. And yet it is also strong magician energy, strong sorcerer energy. So you want to make sure you're directing it in a way that makes sense for you, in a way that is beneficial for you. Now we have Mars. Let's talk about Mars for a second. Yes, he's in that square tomorrow with the moon. He is still in, a sextile with Saturn. He's kind of coming off of that now, though, which is good, that separating degree. So there's a little bit more freedom to a degree. But he's also in this semi-sextile with Neptune. And there is an element of idealism that comes through. And this is sometimes I like this. Obviously, a semi-sextile is a quality aspect, right? It's a more positive aspect, more flowing. But still, with Neptune just having gone retrograde, we want to make sure that we are directing our energy toward things that are a little bit more real. Now, if I switch this to view the terms, I'm going to do the Egyptian terms. Okay, so we can see here, so this changes the subsets, right? Here we have Mars in the Saturn term of Aries. And he's also in a sextile with Saturn over here. So this kind of slows him down a little bit. He's a little bit more directed, a little bit more purposeful, and a little bit more strategic. He's not as erratic here in the Saturnian term. There is a quality of methodical, intentional, but still quick to act. There's high intelligence that comes through in this moment. So we need to act in our highest intelligence, and we need to act, with Neptune in terms of our ideals, in terms of the greater good, in terms of a life and a world that is unified. I think one of the big mistakes that's going on right now too is that we are allowing ourselves to be split, right? Everyone exists on one side of the line or the other. Everyone is either pro this or pro that, and it just shows how far we are from true unification. As individuals, we need to ensure that we are unified. We need to ensure that we are able to see things in a more complete way and to be able to look past the separation. If we can do that as individuals, right, with the Christ consciousness or the Buddha consciousness of Neptune, if we can do that as individuals, it makes it more possible for humanity to do that. It's so critical that we acknowledge our power as individuals, and we don't sort of say, well, I'm just only one person. You are one person, but remember, the ocean is made up, it's that thing, it's like, is the ocean made up of a trillion drops, or is a drop made up of the ocean? It's kind of like one and the other. So don't discount your power as an individual. Don't discount your own individual piece and what that does for the collective, okay? Very important, very, very important. This week on Tuesday, later in the week, Mars is going to be entering into Taurus. Now, this officially, he comes out of rulership and moves into detriment. So immediately, boom, Mars kind of goes into that fall. So let me just kind of move that to Tuesday. And we can see that Mars officially goes into a really, really not super great score, right? -10. That's like a really, really low score. So that moment, the Mars energy just sort of drops off. Okay, and then we have Saturn kind of up here at the top again. So we're kind of going to be operating under the influence of a strong Saturn. So Get as much as you can done this week with that focus, with that methodical nature. As Mars moves through Taurus through July, he's going to be coming into a conjunction with the North Node Uranus conjunction. That is going to be a huge transit. I think I mentioned it last week. Like, let me just go day to day here so we can kind of see. Okay, so there it is. Okay, August 1st. I know this is a long time away, so I know this was supposed to be a weekly reading, but I just want to prepare you for this. So August 1st, there's going to be some incredible stuff that happens as we build up to this. So like the last week of July. Not to mention that we also have last week of July, Jupiter going retrograde and Chiron going retrograde in Aries, which is Mars ruled as well. So Mars having this influence here, again, he's still at a very, very low score on August 1st. So Mars, which is a malefic planet. Okay, I know that in modern astrology, we tend to say, oh, well, there's dualistic manifestations, there's polarities, and we try not to like talk about the bad stuff. But Mars is a malefic planet, and he does bring really tough things into our lives sometimes, and into our culture and into our societies. And when Uranus is involved, of course, Uranus is an outer planet. So of course, there's an element of humanity involved. So this is going to be a huge week. Chiron and Jupiter going retrograde just before that. Plus we have a lot of retrograde outer planets and all that. So, this is going to be powerful, powerful stuff. So we're building up to that. Sorry, I'm not trying to get super off track here, but I think it's important for us to keep our eyes forward so that we don't, where are we? Hold on, what day is it? 29th. Okay. So that we don't like get disillusioned when that stuff happens. Then we have Venus over here in Gemini. Now, Venus, of course, she's not sitting, she's not at a terrible score. She's at a +2 right now. She could be doing better. She was doing better, but now she's still doing okay. She's just kind of doing her thing. And, there's a lot of communication that comes through here, a lot of, evening things out. Of course, Venus is always very diplomatic, and she always wants us to be, even and equal and reach that. She wants to mediate everything, and she wants everyone to be happy. So I think she's learning a lot right now. She's learning a lot about both sides because, yes, Gemini is also a highly dualistic sign as well. Venus, two sides of the scales. Gemini, right? Gemini is the two twins. So there's dualism, a lot of dualism, and we're looking at both sides and we're trying to hear out both sides. And we're, or we could be really polarized, and that's the contrast, right? But if we are, truly in our wholeness, this is that opportunity to gather and collect information from all points of view so that you can formulate a more holistic opinion or bypass opinion altogether and just sort of hold space for togetherness, hold space for, and I know that this sounds really hokey. And a lot of people really struggle with this because they want to say, the reality of the situation is this, the reality is that, and we have to react, we have to respond, we have to fight or whatever it is. And yeah, okay, you can, but when you fight against something, you end up either just becoming the very thing you're fighting against, or you just create this sort of tug of war that's just going to keep everything, right? When you have, is that what it's called? The tug of war with the rope, right? You have two equal sides, two people equally pulling. You're just going to be at a standstill and there's going to be no progress. So it's important to elevate above that. And I think Mercury is here to really help us do that through Gemini. And Mercury's starting to move really fast right now. And as he makes his way into Cancer, he's going to be moving really, really fast. He's only going to be in Cancer for right from July 5th to July 19th. So just 14 days, so 2 weeks. He's going to be moving really fast. And so he's starting to help our minds to really connect. Now Hermes, Mercury, is a messenger of the gods, right? And he delivers messages, he delivers information and visions and insight, and all sorts of wisdom and information comes through Mercury. So if we are willing and open and ready to truly evolve, if we are ready to truly build a world that is more peaceful or more loving or more accepting or has more freedom or more equality or more whatever, if that's truly what we want, then this is a moment where Mercury is going to be able to show us how as an individual and what we as an individual can do and say in order to help create that. It depends on what you call on Mercury for. Mercury is just a messenger. If you call on him for, more destructive things, then he'll deliver more destructive ideas. It depends on what you attune to. Are you attuned to the higher frequency, or are you attuned to the lower frequency? And that's a neutral thing. You don't have to get worked up about that either. It's just, that self-awareness and that self-analysis. Where are you attuned to really? And I think that Mercury is going to be, as he moves into Cancer, again on Tuesday, so later this week, as he moves into Cancer, he's going to have, he's going to go into his more private space here. Whereas in Gemini, he's a lot more vocal, he's a lot more public with things. But this is going to be more private, and we're going to have that opportunity to go deeper within ourselves, to really ask ourselves, where are we really coming from? And if it's coming from any kind of wound, right, we have to ask ourselves, why do we believe what we believe? And there's a reason why, the gurus, quote unquote, talk a lot about belief. And it's like, even Osho, again, I know he's super controversial, but I personally love his teachings, and I learned a lot from him. And one of the things that really stuck with me was when he said, I don't believe in belief. Belief, you can believe things that are helpful for you, you can believe, but that's so flimsy. Like, what is even belief then? If you can just choose the things that you can believe, it's just a tool, but it's not a real thing, really. It's just kind of a tool for you to use to help you direct yourself, to help you direct your life. So if you get to choose what you believe, and you are so strongly believing in one thing or another, this is an opportunity for you to ask yourself, well, why do I believe what I believe? Where is that belief coming from? And is it rooted in a trauma? Is it rooted in a past experience? Is it rooted in, in some kind of situation that happened to me? Or was it taught to me by somebody else? And if that's the case, if any of those are the case, you have to ask yourself if it's really yours or not. Is it really yours? And if you find that it is not, which I would say that like most beliefs are not really ours, we find ourselves finding higher levels of spiritual freedom. And when we find higher levels of spiritual freedom, we find higher levels of healing, which of course Cancer is all about the healing. And as the sun comes through Cancer, we are going to be learning a lot about healing. It's a big week. It's a big week. Let's go back here let's go to, Thursday, tomorrow. Then we have Jupiter here as well. Jupiter is starting to get stronger. He's kind of climbing up on the score scale, sitting up at a +6. So he's starting to have greater influence here. Today we have Jupiter, right? Wednesday today, we have Venus and Jupiter coming into this sextile here as well. So these are the two benefics. I talked about the malefic, Mars, and now we have two benefics coming into a really positive aspect with one another. There's a lot of good luck. There's a lot of potential for expansion in our own lives. There's a lot of financial gain that is possible for us. So if you have a client coming in and offering you money, if you have, even if you gamble or something, today might be kind of a lucky day. Yesterday and today may have been lucky days. I think that a lot of good can potentially come out of this particular sextile. And as Venus kind of wanes off of that sextile, she's still going to be kind of in contact with Jupiter being in the Jupiterian part or the subset of Gemini here. So there's some positive stuff that comes through there as well. I'm just trying to see here. Mercury is going to be coming into that trine with Saturn, the square with Neptune here as well. There's a dreaminess. You may notice dreams. For me, I don't know about you guys, but this Neptune retrograde is happening exactly opposite of my natal sun. It super kicked my butt. Absolute exhaustion. I don't even know how else to describe it. Just so exhausted. But the dreams have been like insane dreams. And you may feel that with Mercury coming into a square there with Saturn trine. And there could be something constructive that comes out of your dreams as well. Perhaps an undiscovered desire or an undiscovered feeling or an undiscovered situation that needs to be resolved as well. There could be a lot of insight, Mercury with Neptune, a lot of insight. You have to be careful though not to be caught up in some kind of idealism, some kind of weirdly religious or weirdly, because there's kind of a cult factor sometimes with Neptune. I often feel there's like a cult influence, and you don't want to be caught up in anything like that. You don't want to be caught up in groupthink. You don't want to be caught up in propaganda, right? That's all very Piscean. So be careful and be, vigilant in terms of what you consume for your information. Be vigilant what you consume in terms of how other people see the world. It's important for you to view and to formulate your own opinions and your own ideas and your own energy around it. All right. And by doing that, I think you actually surpass a lot of the drama, if you will. You surpass a lot of the chaos. And that's the goal, is to look past all of that and to not be a part of it because it's not really the most productive in terms of true change or true reform, okay? So, yeah, again, Chiron and Jupiter both preparing. They're kind of slowing down now, so we're going to start to feel those, and they will be going retrograde through July. So Jupiter's not till July 28th, and then Chiron is on the 19th, okay? So there's kind of some build up to that over the next couple weeks as well, so I'm going to keep bringing that up too. I think that's it. Yeah, so I'm going to leave you guys with that, okay? I hope you have a great week. I really do. Focus on your stuff, right? This is a good week for you to just focus on yours. And as Mars comes into Taurus, he's going to be in that more like self-sufficient mode, keeping his energy on himself, that kind of thing. And, he's in Venus's domicile. So again, yes, he's very, very weak at this particular point. Taurus will definitely slow him down, but he will have time to plot and plan and strategize and to really think things through before acting. So, I think that will be a good thing to some degree. Okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. You guys know how much I love you. I wish you nothing but the best. Have a great week.